Rabbi Kolakowski. It's Erev Shabbos. Let's learn a little bit. Chassidus, this Sefaria app is just amazing. Let's learn Kedushas Levi, Parshas, Lech, Lecha. Let's just see what we got here. V'yomer Hashem al Avraham, Lech, Lecha. So Genesis 12:1, the Lord said to Abram, "Go for yourself." So Kedushas Levi brings, the Heilige Berditcheverov brings, Rabbi Makshim, Makashim, Lama Hevi Avraham, Asar L'Sekonazu, She'elachim Ol Mitzrayim, Kevin Shleom Olai Hashem Yisborach. So God told Abraham to go to the land of Canaan, but He never told him to go to take Sarah to Egypt. So why did He bring Sarah into this danger of going to Egypt if God didn't tell him to bring her? Vanira, it seems, Masha Hashem Yisborach, Amar Avraham, Elar Sashareka. Since God said to Abraham, "Go to the land which I show you," it seems that He told him that this is the whole reason for your travel is to go to this land, the land of Canaan. So that's where you should go. B'nei Avraham, Kashim ol Eretz Yisrael, v'haya shamer Avra ki Kedushas min Hashem Yisborach shelo yukam. The whole purpose of God's prophecy message, prophetic message to Abraham, is to go to Canaan, to the land of Israel, to the Holy Land. But if the land was not worthy to be there, there's a famine in the land, so that he should leave, right? So there's no reason to be there. So God, He covered her all ba'aretz. So that's what it means. And there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down to Egypt because the famine was very strong in the land, meaning the Holy Land. Maybe some say the whole world. But God didn't tell him to go to Egypt. It was there. However, he saw there was a reason not to remain in Canaan, but rather to travel to another land. So therefore it seemed that this was pointing to the idea that they should travel to a different land because God showed him that that's the place to go. I will say it's, let's translate this literally. With this he saw Kedushas. This was the reason. He shouldn't remain here. Rather, he should go to a different land. Nimsa, we find Zehu min Hashem. This comes from God. You should go to the land where God desires him to go. This is a very strong message because so many people believe that there is some kind of they almost put their devotions to the Holy Land before their devotions to God. And some it's not almost, some it's actually. There are many people who have this strong connection to the Holy Land and have no relationship with God, may not even believe in God, but they love that land. But Abraham, he was not one of those people who worshiped the land. He worshiped God. He recognized that he has to do what he's supposed to do. He's not playing games. That if God puts a famine in the Holy Land, it's time to get up and leave. You don't have to stay there. There's no reason to stay there. what's attached is very interesting. The Samarov, not only that he was anti-Zionist, but it was an interesting thing that he taught. Looks like they're going to open this gas station soon. That essentially, he said, it's a wonderful thing to go and live in Eretz Yisrael if you have a parnaso, if you have a way to support yourself. But if you don't, you're going to lose out, and maybe your whole family is going to give up their devotions to God. Meaning, what you pick, because and it's attached to also something like what Rav Shach also taught. The Panovich Rosh Shiva taught that so many people, their mistake is that they believe that essentially Eretz Yisrael, like all their faith is in Eretz Yisrael, right? Like their whole religion is tied up with Eretz Yisrael, with the Holy Land. And so so Rav Shach told a group of Jews who moved to a certain area in the settlements, they call it Shtachim. They were settlers, and he said to them, and first of all, the Kedushas, and he said, don't move to these places, even if it's cheap. It's not going to stay forever. We're not going to. And then, so the modern Orthodox Jews, the religious Zionists, he said, don't forget, there was an old man in Bnei Brak who told you that someday you're going to have to leave your homes, and this and the Israeli government is going to give it away. I think that was Emmanuel. Was one of the communities where actually some of the Kedushas, they didn't listen to Rav Shach. They settled there and they had to leave. The settlement was dismantled, and so to other places. And he said the reason why he felt that it was so important to mention this is because so many people. He was worried that these people would lose their faith totally. Meaning, as if to say, like, if how would God let this happen, type of thing. Just as a lot of people lost their faith in World War II, in the Holocaust. The same type of thing. People felt they lost their faith. With this, that the basically, they say, how could God let this happen? The same type of thing here. How God let this happen with the Shtachim, which is much less of a loss than the Holocaust. But because so many people they became convinced that they're going to be forced to go there, they're never going to leave Eretz Yisrael. This is a step in Mashiach coming. This is something attached to some kind of eschatology. The tzaddikim had to say, no, don't get fooled by this. Look at Avraham Avinu. He left Eretz Yisrael. He went to Egypt. You hear what I'm saying? Meaning, and he also went to Gerar. He went to all these different places. He didn't stay in Eretz Yisrael. And God didn't have to tell him, get up and leave. He saw that he had to leave. These are some of the aspects of what we're discussing here. Meaning to say that Eretz Yisrael, it's a means to an end of divine worship. That's all it is. That's all it's there for. It's not the politics. It's not anything else. It's not the nationalism. It's purely there to have devotion to God. Now, were there devotions that went beyond prayer and sacrifice in the temple? Yes, of course. But everything in Eretz Yisrael had to be sanctified. The government had to be a sacred government. Not just a theocracy in the sense that we speak about today, but an authentic theocracy where God was actually in control. And the other aspects of this, these are all things to keep an eye on. And people, they'll lose their faith, if they're not. Meaning agriculture in Eretz Yisrael, there was religious devotion to agriculture, not in the way that the Zionists have it, that like working the land is in and of itself some kind of devotion. But again, it was a means to end of the mitzvahs of Tliyus Ba'aretz. And in a certain sense, I mentioned this about the what they call it, the Heter Mechira. We talk about the Heter Mechira with Shemitah, with Shvius. The sabbatical year, there's an idea that if you sell the land to a non-Jew, it's the laws of the sabbatical don't apply, and you could continue working the land. And they would make somewhat like a legal fiction that would make it that it's as if it's similar. It's to what we do with Mechiras Chametz, but there it's an actual Mechira. But even with that, it's controversial. Not everybody recognizes. Same thing with Mechiras Bechor. Such a thing also. If you need explanation of these things, I'll explain it separately, because I'm going to just get off on tangents. But there's different times in Jewish law when we sell, we relinquish ownership, perhaps temporarily, of something that we actually own, and we sell it on paper at least to a non-Jew, in order to avoid certain consequences legally and religiously. And so one of these is, and people say there are loopholes. It's not really. I don't. I know that's a dirty word to some people. I know this one of my coworkers, a clergyman. He gets so upset when people are looking for loopholes, and I'm like, that's my whole religion, is looking for loopholes. But I mentioned to him, they say W.C. Fields, when he was later on in years, they caught him reading the Bible, and they said, Bill, you're reading the good book? He said, looking for loopholes, my good man. But so this is one of these loopholes, is the Heter Mechira. But the thing is, if they're talking about Geula and Golus and all these things, right? I mean, the whole thing here with Geula, with Golus and Geula, with redemption and exile. It's clear in the Chumash and in the Mishnah and Pirkei Avos that exile is one of the main reasons we have the exile is because of failure to keep the Shemitah year. V'oz tirtza ha'aretz shabseiseha. And Pirkei Avos brings us down that the whole reason for the sabbatical is so the land can have a rest. And the whole reason, and if we don't give the land her rest, then we will be exiled from the land, so the land can have its rest. And I would say that, you know, recognizing there's divine providence and so forth, wouldn't you recognize that if because of financial pressures and so forth, that the Jews would need to make a heter mechira just to survive in Eretz Yisrael? Isn't that a sign that it's not time yet? Just like here we see with Avraham Avinu, that he saw there was a famine, and so he left Eretz Yisrael. And so too, if the heter mechira was necessary, as Rav Kook suggested, it wasn't his chiddush. There were other rabbanim who came up with the idea of heter mechira, but Rav Kook put his stempel on it. And if this is the case, you know, what exactly doesn't that point to the fact that it's just not time yet? Wait, have patience. Someday it'll happen. Have faith. You don't have to take these matters into your own hands. Something to think about. And not only that, but it seems from Chazal that really, if we're violating the Shemitah, then we're going to have to. Then that's another year in Galus. Meaning the first Galus, 70 years, 70 Shemitahs had passed by, right? It was, around 400, 500 years from when they entered the land. From when the base of English was built, and different things, and all these that they didn't keep, and so they had to have 70 years. And since then, the Jews have not left Eretz Yisrael, and so for violating Shemitah, it's a very serious thing. It's a very serious thing. So, oh my goodness, it's going to be a cold mikveh again, but I can't. Now I do have time before Shabbos, but I don't have time because I have other things. I have other obligations right now. Just see one more short word from Kedushas Levi, another explanation of Lecha, the land that I show you. Haklal, the general rule is kasher ha'adam mesupuk in lasei simlai. If a person's not sure if he should do something or not, then he should use his common sense. If it's clear, then he should do it. And that's what it means when I show you. It means clarity. Alright. Thank you for watching. God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you later.